It's 7 a.m. in Vancouver. The rain from last night is still dripping off the trees. My Salomons are already soaked. My backpack feels heavier than it should be, even though I've stripped my gear down to the bare essentials. But none of that matters, because as soon as I step on that trail, every path I take, every turn I take, every ray of sun could be the shot. You see, hiking has totally changed my photography, the way I plan which gear I use, and how I've learned to work with any conditions thrown at me. The thing is, you're always on the hunt. Hiking has this way of sharpening your senses. It's probably the adrenaline. You're not just walking, you're constantly scanning. Is that light breaking through the trees over there? Is that patch of moss just glowing because the sun is hitting it right? It's like a horror movie where the main character is scanning the room for the creature to come out. You'll never know when you'll actually get the shot. This is exactly how you find those shots that aren't necessarily obvious. Hiking teaches you to notice every single detail that others might just walk past. And yeah, there's that part of me that's excited thinking, this would look insane on the Instagram story. But it's more than just posting for likes. It's about capturing those memories you wouldn't remember otherwise. The ones that make you appreciate where you are, even just for a second. So I flew over to Vancouver about 2 weeks ago, where the week looked like this. Just rain. I promise you I didn't Photoshop that screenshot. Even though the weather was, for the most part, overcast, all the hikes I went on taught me to embrace both. To look for the extraordinary, even in the simplest things, and to not be afraid to shoot too much. If you have any experience in any art-related field, I'm sure you've heard the phrase, less is more. And honestly, that couldn't be further from the truth. In the past, I thought I needed everything. I needed that backpack with the tripod, the big mirrorless camera, the point and shoot, backup batteries, filters, even sensor cleaning supplies. And yeah, I got some pretty amazing shots. But by the end of those hikes, I was not enjoying myself. My shoulders were screaming. My energy was gone, and honestly, it wasn't worth it. Now, I've changed. I keep things simple. I'm a minimalist. When I'm going on hikes, I'm not afraid anymore. The game plan now is one lens, one camera. You see, that forces me to focus on the composition and less about the technical stuff. There's no swapping lenses, there's no overthinking. Just point, shoot, and move on. Simplicity doesn't just make the hike easier, it makes photography more enjoyable. And of course, there's just my phone. I used to think that taking photos on my phone as someone who owned a camera was lame or even cheating. But I'll be honest, the convenience is unlike any other. When you're hiking with others, you never want to stop and try to adjust all your settings on your camera, or if you don't have a flip out screen, try to take a selfie with that bulky mirrorless camera. Just drop the exposure on your iPhone, hold your phone still, use the rule of thirds, and bam. And that easily captures the moment. Gear doesn't make the photo, you do. Hiking taught me that the hard way. That one shift in my mindset made all the difference. Another thing that I took away from hiking is that it and photography aren't that different. They're both unpredictable. The trail might be tougher than you expected. In Vancouver, I was hiking with spikes on my shoes until the snow started to melt and I started to sink in. Or even worse, the weather might turn on you. You don't always get the shot you planned for, but that's part of the fun. One time I was hiking to the edge of this cliff, and the morning winds were so strong I couldn't possibly risk setting up my tripod with the camera. I ended up shooting handheld. And even though I was freezing in Canadian winter, I still captured that moment. And sometimes those imperfections actually tell a better story, or you can just Photoshop them. It's a good reminder that in both photography and hiking, the best moments happen when you least expect them. You kind of just roll with it and overshoot until you get the shot. And see every challenge, every limitation as an opportunity. It's like a muscle or any kind of skill. You build it over time by just practicing, shooting, and being creative with what you have, even when things don't go to plan. See, the biggest thing is, there's no rule that says you have to balance the hike and photography. If you simply want to focus on entirely getting the shot, then go for it. That could be your meaning, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some people like me find their connection to the trail or nature through the art they create. I like the art side of things, but I also love hiking with friends. And if that's what matters to you, don't worry about it. Don't feel pressured to just simply live in the moment, just because others say you should. I've had so many hikes where it's just been all about the photos. I felt like every step I took was an opportunity for me to find a new composition, a new angle, something I can share with others. Those hikes were meaningful to me because I was creating something. But I've also had times where I simply put the camera away on the hike back down. Both are correct approaches. It's what drives you. But Anton, what's the big takeaway here? If you're a hiker or you just like adventure, maybe you're a photographer, there's always something to learn from hiking and being out in nature. You don't need a ton of gear to create meaningful images. Simply just take what you have. My best moments came where I was limited with the things I had. Even if you're a seasoned photographer, just take your phone. It's not about technical perfection. Come home with a story. All right, take care, guys.